Good morning, this is Dylan Jovine with Behind the Markets. Happy Wednesday. Today is Wednesday, June 4th. And today I want to talk about Jamie Dimon's very big warning that came out this weekend. Jamie Dimon is the CEO of the nation's largest bank, JP Chase, a serious operator, probably the best bank CEO in the country. And when he speaks, he's one of those people that you really want to listen to because he's a man who knows what he's talking about. He's been doing this for decades. And he's a man who has really deep insight into the American economy, the bond markets, relationship with China, all types of things. He has deep insights into this. So he's one of the few people that you want to listen to. He doesn't talk very often, but when he does, it pays to pay attention to it. Anyway, he said, and I'm quoting, "You are going to see a crack in the bond market. I'm telling you it's going to happen." Quote, unquote. That is what he said in that tone. And I urge you to look for that video online. Look for his video saying that. He's warning, you are going to see a crack in the bond market. It is going to happen. When he says, you're going to panic, I'm not going to panic. And a lot of people might blame JP Chase or say that we caused the crisis or that we're going to make unfair money from it, but it's not worth it for us. What does he mean by saying, and I'm basically quoting him almost verbatim, what does he mean, and tone also, what does he mean when we say we're going to see a crack in the bond market? Right now, there's this kind of mass delusion about what interest rate should be on the 30-year. And also the Fed is really manipulating the long end of the market. But this is mass delusion going on here in the bond market as a new regime is starting to take shape. And the delusion is that the U.S. government, anybody wants to loan us money for 30 years for 5% interest. So that delusion is starting to break down, but it's still there. So basically what he's saying, a crack in the bond market means basically a buyer's strike where interest rates spike. Now, if interest rates spike, and what's driving this is the insane amounts of debt spending this government has been doing since Trump won, basically, the tax breaks and the COVID crisis. So basically, during Trump's first term, President Trump's first term, he added 7.4 trillion in debt. We spent more than we took in by 7.4 trillion. During President Biden's term, he added 7.2 trillion in debt. And now, during President Trump's second term, we're on track to basically even top those numbers, basically based on the budget that the House passed and is pushing through the Senate right now. So basically, what he's saying is bond buyers are going to say, forget this. They're going to say, they're already doing it. A bigger and bigger group of people are saying no to U.S. government bonds. And that is spiking, that is going to spike interest rates. Now, if interest rates spike, especially on the 10-year, what you're going to see is a situation where the stock market crashes, of course. Now, the other thing I'd like you to keep an eye on here and to really focus on is because we haven't been able to sell 30-year debt, what bond buyers have forced us to do is sell short-term debt. They're only lending us money for 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, instead of 30 years. We used to be able to sell 30-year bonds, no problem. But now the bond buyers are saying, no, we don't want your 30-year debt, your long-term debt. We want the short-term stuff. That's how bad your fiscal policy has been. That's how much money you've been spending. You're basically bankrupting your country. So what they're saying is, we'll only buy short-term debt. Now remember something, short-term debt has to be refinanced every couple years. So what happens is, let's say we borrowed $3 trillion this year, okay? Now let's say that in 3 years, most of that is 3-year bonds, we'll say. Now, in 3 years, not only do we have to refinance that $3 trillion, we're issuing another $2 trillion. So basically, you're asking the bond market to absorb a lot. Now, every time that happens, they get to raise interest rates on you. So you're really entering a situation here where it's starting to choke us. This is why our interest rates, our interest expense now is over $1 trillion a year. We're basically spending our country into bankruptcy. It's really astonishing, really. In both parties. This is an attack on any party. Both parties are doing it. There's plenty of blame to go around. So that is what's happening. Now, a lot of people say cut taxes and it's going to spur economic growth and the economic growth is going to be bigger. Thankfully, I lived long enough to see what happened when President Bill Clinton was in office, when they actually were forced to create fiscal spending constraints. And that fiscal spending constraint, cutting the budget, led to the 90s internet boom. It was great. We did fine. And President Bill Clinton was the last president to leave this country a budget surplus. It's amazing. Democrat, it's astonishing, really. Talk about fiscal discipline. So anyway, my point is that is the right, the balanced budget. We forgot how to balance things. It's an interesting thing. All we know how to do is spend money. And Jamie Dimon, the CEO of JP Morgan Chase, is warning we are going to see a crack in the bond market. It is going to happen. That is not good. So again, I just wanted to share that warning with you. It was a surprise warning. Basically, there's no ambiguity in that warning. Anyway, that's all I have. Have a wonderful day.